There we go. There are the Pie Tasters. Here on a Wednesday morning, April the 17th, 2024. This is the Round Robin. I am Stephen Murray. We are your first look at the sports slate for today. Broadcasting live from the Deep End Studios here in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. All right, let's cue up some fresh lines. Day baseball on the slate today. We are midweek, so that means it's getaway day for some of these teams, and we have a full slate of day games. In fact, only one baseball game starting past 7 p.m. today. Everything else is either a matinee or an afternoon game. So we'll get to the baseball slate. The Capitals clinch a playoff spot, so everything is settled in the East. Nowhere for teams to maneuver, so everything is set up there. Some seeding business still to handle in the West for the NHL. We'll figure that out here in the next day or two as some of these playoff series odds are starting to drop out now. And with the NBA, we have our first team bounced from postseason play, and that is the Golden State Warriors. That's the Sacramento Kings. Hold off a fury there in the early, or I guess late first half, early second half, and then get down to business and handle things. And the Kings will play again against the New Orleans Pelicans, who will have to play one more game after they lose to the Lakers. Zion Williamson, 40 points, but his 40th point was a hard one. He leaves the game injured, so we'll see what his status is as well. All right, so a lot to go over this morning. We are your first look here on the Round Robin of your sports slate for Wednesday afternoon. So let's see what we have, and Wednesday evening. So let's go ahead and recap the scores for yesterday. If you're waking up and you didn't see any of the action late night, as some of these games just ended about 5 hours ago. We'll go ahead and start with, let's go ahead and start with the NHL. As we only had the two games in the NBA, we told you that. In fact, we'll actually talk about that a little bit. Let's see here. Lakers won 110-106, and the Kings win 118-94. So both of those games stay under the total, which is what you'd like to see to come NBA time. We told you once you get to these playoff games, lower scoring games. In fact, they were trying to start off fast in the Lakers-Pelicans game, 60 points first quarter, but then that settled down. And then also the Kings-Warriors, they had 54 and 51, so 105 in the first half. And then, let's see, second half, just a little bit. Let's see, 100, do some quick math, 104, a little bit more in the second half, actually, but just about the same overall in each of the halves with the Warriors and the Kings. But the Warriors with only 18 points in the fourth quarter. The Pelicans, they have a 16-point quarter in the second quarter. So that's all it takes to get these games to stay under. Unders are dominant in the postseason with the NBA. In fact, you'll see and notice that the lines that they'll have out are definitely lower than the regular season numbers. So we'll have 2 more games tonight. We will have Miami at Philadelphia and Atlanta at Chicago. Right now, Philadelphia is -5.5, 207.5 there, and Chicago's -3.5, 221.5. So I'll let that one soak in on me a little bit, and we'll get back to that here during the course of the show. Talked about the Capitals. They clinch the final playoff spot in the East. So all the seeding is set there. They are 2-1 winners in Philadelphia. TJ Oshie with a empty netter in a tie game. It didn't matter. The Flyers had the win in regulation. If they went to overtime, that did not do them any good. So they went ahead, and as soon as they pulled that goalie with about 3 minutes left, Oshie was able to handle the puck, get it out of the Caps zone, skate down the sideboards, and then angle one in from about the blue line. And that's enough to get the Capitals into the playoffs. 2-1 winners at Philadelphia. A good season overall for the Flyers. A lot of people probably didn't expect them to be in that situation in the first place. But you can say the same with the Capitals. They were not expected to be where they were. They were maybe another year away. Team was getting older, too young, too old. But that mix of characters came together well, and the Caps are able to get the job done, and they will move on to play the Rangers in the East. The Senators beat the Bruins. That's going to lift Florida to the Atlantic Crown with their win over the Maple Leafs. So Boston gets leapfrogged on the last day of the season, and they will drop down in the standings there. We'll look at all this in a second. The Red Wings win 5-4 in a shootout at Montreal, but that does them no good. They'll be out of the playoffs now with the Caps win. The Hurricanes in the meaningless game for them lose 6-3 to Columbus. The Jets win 4-3 against the Kraken. Golden Knights take out the Blackhawks 3-1, and Vancouver 4-1 winners over the Flames. I mentioned I like the money line play of the Golden Knights, Canucks, Panthers, and Boston. So Boston is one that does not get home for us, but I did like the Capitals as well. So 4 of the 5 NHL plays that I liked were good. In fact, I did lean with an over in the Red Wings and Canadiens game as well, and that goes over as well. So you can say that we were 5-1 in the NHL yesterday overall, and we have 2 nights left, a short slate this evening that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. We'll recap the baseball first, and then we'll get into everything else. In fact, we'll recap the baseball, and then we'll go right into the baseball schedule, and then we'll start looking into the playoff odds of what we have for the NHL and NBA out there now. All right, so that will be the plan, and we'll do playoff previews as much as we can here this week. In Major League Baseball, the return of the crooked numbers. Baseball players were pretty good too, to be honest. We said probably a lower scoring game with the Pirates and the Mets. That's indeed what happened. No run in the first inning in that one, or a first inning result in a tie is how we like to do it. If you're new to the show, if you're getting similar juice, why do no runs in the first inning when you can do the first inning result in the tie and give yourself a bailout in the bottom of the first if your team gets a run in the top of the first? But no run scored with the Pirates and the Mets. So we like that. The Tigers win 4-2 in a lower scoring game. We figured that may be the case there too as well. So the Tigers win 4-2, just 11 hits combined for the two teams in Detroit. And the Tigers now 2-7 overall, 10-7 overall, 9-9 for the Rangers. The Twins, they fall to 6-10. They get hammered by the Orioles. The Orioles get to Chris Paddock. Again, we like the Orioles. We thought they could lay the hammer in this game, and they certainly did. 14 runs total in this game. Part of a 4 games that were able to get over 13 runs or more, which are big alternate line numbers for those kind of blowout type of games. But the Orioles handle business 11-3 at home. The Phillies not quite breaking out yet. Not quite breaking out yet with the bats, but they won 5-0. Austin Gomber takes the loss. Ranger Suarez now 3-0 for the Phillies. Rockies dropped to 4-14 overall. Marlins get a win. They get their 4th win. They beat the Giants 6-3. That was a first inning no score or first inning result in a tie. That was successful with that game as well. So the Marlins get their 4th win. The Rays and the Angels go to extra innings, 7-6 there. We stayed away from that one. Yankees and the Blue Jays, we figured that would be tight. 5-4. The 5-4 was the final there with the Blue Jays winning. Now, what was the over-under in that game? Because they did get 9 runs. I think it crept over, if I'm correct. I think that was sitting at 8.5. So they do get over in that game, and that's what happens when you do have an 8.5. 4-4 can doom you. So the Blue Jays get the win there. The Guardians is a team that we liked yesterday. They win 7 against Boston. The Guardians now 12-5 overall. Back to the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Yankees now 12-6. Blue Jays now 10-8. But a little bit of a skid here for the Yanks. The Padres, they kill Wade Miley in the first inning. 4 runs off of him. Ha-Sung Kim, 3-run homer off the foul pole. 6-3 winners are the Padres. 4 runs in the first inning. And that's too many runs for our tie in the first inning result, as that was our one mishap there. But the Padres, 11-9 overall. Brewers now 10-6. The Braves bats come alive late, win 6-2 over the Astros. The Astros now 6-13 on the season. The Braves 11-5 overall. Lopez with the win. He is now 2-0. Brown takes the loss for the Astros, but he drops his ERA from well above 16 to now the mid-10s, 10.54 for him. So he pitched decent against a Braves lineup. Just seems to be missing a little bit, just a little bit with the Braves offense. We'll see how quickly they'll get that corrected. Just not your super blowouts, even though they win 6-2. You know, they're not putting up 8 or 9 runs here lately, like you would think that they would. The Diamondbacks, they won 12-11 in 10 innings. A game that we liked the over in this. We figured Hendricks would have a rough time, at least for the Cubs. And sure enough, he did. But the Diamondbacks, a big win at home, 9-9 for them overall, 10-7. So 23 runs in that game. Logan Gilbert wins 3-1 over the Reds. So he holds them down. 1-0 for Gilbert, 2.33 ERA. The Cardinals, 3-2 winners over the Athletics. The Dodgers, 6-2 winners over the Nationals. Just 6 hits total for the Nats. Yarborough ends up getting the start. He gets the win for the Dodgers. Patrick Corbin now 0-3, 8.06 ERA for him. And the Royals and the White Sox rained out. All right, so those are your scores. And we have a full slate today. So let's get right to it with baseball. So we'll click on the Gamecast. We'll see what kind of pitcher matchups we have. And we'll look at some lines. Okay, the Pirates at the Mets. Again, third game for them. The Mets minus 140. Pirates plus 120. Over under in this game. As I get baseball queued back up here. What in tarnation is that? 8 is the total here for the Mets game. All right. So 8 total runs. Mets a minus 140 favorite. We have Bailey Falter, and we have Luis Severino for the Mets. The lefty Falter, 1-0 on the season, 4.2 ERA. Severino, 3 flat for his ERA. He is 1-1. Both of these guys have pitched 15 innings. Just 10 hits for Falter, so pretty good. Just 6 strikeouts, so he's pitching to contact. The Mets don't strike out much either. 15 hits allowed for Severino, but 17 strikeouts, so he has been punching players out. Pete Alonso now with 6 home runs for him on the season. Brett Beatty hitting 305, so he's above 300. Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor's batting averages starting to creep up a little bit. But the Mets' bottom of the lineup is what's been doing nice for them. Let's pull up the batting averages here. Let's see what we got. I was looking at this last night with the Mets. We have Marte hitting 271. We talked about Nimmo. He's 203. Lindor's 145. But Marte's hitting 271. Alonso 269. Beatty 305. Alvarez 240. You'd like to see that get a little bit better. Jeff McNeil's, he started off ice cold, but he's been improving now above 200 at 212. Harrison Bader is at 292 for his batting average. DJ Stewart's is starting to climb a little bit as well. So production at the bottom of the lineup for the Mets. And then we have a couple players who kind of leveled off here for the Pirates. Rowdy Tellez is only at 229. O'Neal Cruz is all the way down to 219 for his batting average. McCutcheon's at 209. Jack Sawinski is at hitting only 185. Brian Reynolds, although he's been struggling, is up to 257. So the Pirates' bats have chilled out a little bit. And the Mets are just red hot. They're being able to rally and win. You just figure that they're going to be primed for the sweep here. And the Pirates are having a tough time on this road trip in Philadelphia and New York. They've definitely leveled off a hair. I expect the Pirates to get over these bumps and be better. But the Mets are just on fire. You got to remember they started 0-5. Everyone's ready to jump off the ship with them and how bad they were. But they've actually found some consistent pitching. It's not like they have your knock it out number one starter. But you almost feel like they have a bunch of number 2s and 3s at least they're throwing at you for guys in the rotation. And that's been able to help them out tremendously. And their bullpen's been fantastic. Diaz does not get the save last night. So they're watchdogging him a little bit. But we will lean with the Mets here just because they're red hot. And I wouldn't doubt if they can score some runs today either off Falter. It should be a nicer day up there in New York. I mean, over 5.5 runs is at plus 215. Over 6.5 runs is at plus 340. So you're getting some big numbers there. As far as the win margin goes, now here's a good little trick too we haven't really discussed when you're talking about alternate lines. There's a couple different ways to say that the Mets are going to win by 4. If you go to an alternate line, you're going to see Mets minus 3.5 at plus 360. Okay, so that's your alternate line minus 3.5. But if you also go down to the winning margin 4-way, you have the New York Mets to win by 4+ runs or more, which is the same thing. They're winning by 4 runs or more. Minus 3.5 means win by 4. Mets to win by 4+ runs or more is paying plus 380 under the win margin. So that is a good little trick. I will say 95% of the time, the win margin 4-way pays better than the alternate line. So you can increase your bets juice and payout just by, especially in the parlays, if you use the win margin over the alt line. Now, there are circumstances where the alt line does pay better than the win margin. So you always got to look at both. But again, why do the alt line when you can do the win margin, which is giving you essentially extra free equity in your play? So be aware of that. But the Mets team line for runs is paying pretty decent today. They just seem to be hot. You almost feel like another big day is going to come out with them. They've been successful in these day games, scoring a decent amount of runs here in their last few. 16 runs against the Braves last week on a Thursday. So we'll see how that goes today. We have Dunning and Skubal, the pitchers for the game with the Texas Rangers and the Detroit Tigers. Now, the Rangers have been sketchy at best here lately. Let's take a look at some of their batting averages just to kind of see where we're at with them. As I zoom out of the Mets game, let's see. This is a 1:10 Eastern time game. Tyreek Skubal for the Tigers and Dane Dunning for the Rangers. Well, Dunning is 4.50 ERA, just 12 hits in his 18 innings. He's given up 4 home runs and 9 walks. So that has been his issue. A lot of strikeouts, but a lot of walks and a lot of dingers as well. Skubal's ERA is at 2.08. He is 2-0. 17.1 innings pitched, 9 hits, 20 strikeouts, 4 walks, 2 home runs for him. And if we look at, the Rangers just 3 runs in Detroit already this in the 2 games this week. So their bats have gone cold. But if we look at their averages, let's just see where we're at there. They're not the worst. Simeon's 284, Seager's 283, Carter 211, Langford 266, Smith 304, Durand 250, Walsh 226, 071 for Neisner. Tavares is hitting 214. They're still missing like a Josh Jung, I think, out of the lineup. Still missing a little bit of pop. They're just not getting timely hitting, but just 3 runs in Detroit is concerning. Let's look at the Tigers' batting averages on the flip side. Green 217, Torkelson 209, McKinstry 259, Carpenter 302, Vierling 300, Urshela 300, Perez 182, Baez 143, Meadows 056, Rogers 0.100. So they have their issues as well. Just really strong there at 3, 4, 5, and 6. But besides that, struggling are the Tigers. So it's not like they're putting up a ton of runs either. This has been played to an under series. 8 is the over-under for today's game. Is that correct? Is 8 the over-under for today's game? 7.5 is the over-under for today's game. Pirates, the -145 favorite. 55 degrees and cloudy here. I think it's a lot of the same. And they'll play again tomorrow. They'll play a game 4 tomorrow. But I think you just follow the under trend again with these two. Good pitchers as well. Decent pitchers anyway. I think no run first inning or give yourself the bailout in the bottom of the first with the first inning result in a tie is a good option for this game. Tigers and Rangers. So try that there. Rewind a little bit to noon Eastern time. 12:10 will be the first pitch for the Giants and the Marlins. Marlins, again, getting their 4th win of the season last night. Trevor Rogers, high expectations for him, but he's 0-2, 4.80 ERA for the Marlins. There's 15 innings pitched. He has 20 hits, 14 strikeouts, 8 walks. Keaton Wynn is 0-3, 16.0 innings pitched, 12 hits, 13 Ks, 7 walks, 1 home run for him. Let's see here. 77 degrees down in South Beach. The Giants a slight favorite. I think just a no play at the end of the day. I don't trust either one of these teams. Offensively, let's take a look at their numbers and batting averages. Let's just see what we got. Hard to put up runs when you can't hit. And the Giants, Slater hitting 133. Lamont Wade, 386. That's good. Estrada, 224. Wilbur Flores, 250. Lee, 257. Soler, the ex-Marlin, hitting 219. Murphy hitting 100. Matt Chapman, 205. Conforto, 292. Ahmed, 288. And Fitzgerald, 333. With the Marlins, Arise now hitting 292. Jazz Chisholm Jr., 242. De La Cruz, 276. Josh Bell, 212. Sanchez, 171. Anderson, 263. Gordon, 226. Rivera, 174. And Fortes, 097. So definitely some weak spots in that lineup. There's only one player for the Marlins hitting over 260. Actually, two players hitting over 264, we'll say, because there is one guy at 263. But De La Cruz at 276 and Arise at 292 is as good as it gets. Can we have a no-run first inning here? I think you can again. Both of these pitchers are the best, though. So we'll just throw this one completely aside and we'll ignore that. But I think I would lean under with the lack of offenses anyway. All right, Padres and the Brewers, they'll go again today. The Brewers are undecided with their pitcher. And we will have, for the Padres, Michael King, who is 2-0, 4.19 ERA for him, 19.1 innings pitched, just 16 hits, 19 strikeouts. This game is lined flat. Rainy, 49 degrees in Milwaukee, so they'll have the roof up for this one. And just a slight favorite right now for the Brewers, even though we are undecided on the pitcher. Let me make sure we're definitely undecided on the pitcher. As I don't have a line for this on the book, do I? Nope. Off the board. Yeah, so off the board in a lot of places still with the Brewers Padres game until the Brewers come up with who they want to pitch. So off the board here. Another 1:00 game. We have Pablo Lopez and the Twins against the Orioles and a to-be-determined pitcher. I'm wondering if that'll be Keegan Aiken because he gets some spot starts along the way. He's a former starting pitcher. But the Twins, minus 120, are the favorite today, over under 8, since the Orioles are undecided. As far as Lopez goes, I think how's Lopez? I think he's been doing okay, right? Let's get to him. Well, 1-2, 4.86 ERA, so not super great for Pablo Lopez, the right-hander. And again, we are undecided for the Orioles. The Twins, let's just take a look at their offense. As they've given up 18 runs here to the Orioles in the last couple of days. But here's the Twins offense. Julian, 189. Jeffers, 292. Kirilloff, 286. Byron Buxton, 208. Larnack, 250. Miranda, 286. Castro, 111. Manuel Margot, who's come over from the Rays, just 189. And Vasquez is hitting a 133. So not that great there, as opposed to the Orioles hitters. Let's take a look at them. Gunnar Henderson, 275. Adley Rutschman, 292. Ryan O'Hearn, 333. Anthony Santander, you'd like to see him get hotter. He's hitting 200. Cedric Mullins, 259. Colton Cowser hitting 405. Jordan Westberg hitting 316. Jackson Holiday struggling since he's been called up, just 045 for him. McCann is hitting 280. So up and down the Orioles lineup, they are getting the job done offensively. I don't see why they can't touch up Lopez for a little bit more today. It'll be interesting to see who they get on the mound for a pitcher. But you can say that the Orioles bats are hot with their 18 runs here in the last couple of games. And it stretches beyond that through the weekend. I mean, they've been getting consistently good runs here the last week or so, really throughout the season. It's been really hard to hold them down. Forecasted weather for today is rainy and 61. I don't know if that's the case. I feel like it's dry out here on the East Coast. So take that with a grain of salt. Check your weather forecast. I don't think it's going to be raining in Baltimore. I could be wrong. We're expecting a nice day here, and we're not that far away. Put it that way. Let's see. Next game on the board will be the Braves and the Astros again. Max Fried, 1-0, 8.74 ERA against JP France, who's had a tough time with it here this season as well. 0-2, 8.22 ERA for him. 22 hits and 15 innings for France. Just 12 strikeouts, 7 walks. Fried, 11 innings pitched, 16 hits, 10 Ks for him. Altuve hitting 382. We talked about that on the show. We'll be inside, but 73 degrees if they want to crack the roof for this one. 145, minus 145 is the Atlanta favorite money line, and over-under is at 9.5. I mean, I would expect runs here, but Fried could shut down the Astros. So let's go ahead and take a look at the run lines for the alternate run lines for the Braves. You always got to pay a little bit of a tax. I mean, you got to really take the Braves for a lot of runs to get a big crooked payout. Over 5.5 runs plus 132, over 6.5 runs plus 210, and plus 320 to get to 8 runs. You want to usually use 8 for the magic number for the Braves to get a excessive payout of plus 320. To get to 9 runs is plus 470. I think they can do that today. I think we'll see a breakout sooner or later of their bats. Not that 5 or 6 runs isn't offensively sufficient in the baseball game, but we just haven't seen the Braves put up a nice 12-spotter, 11 runs, something like that here recently. The Astros ripe for the picking for them to do that today, I think. All right. Marcus Stroman returns to Toronto, where he once pitched for the Yankees. There'll be a slight favorite, minus 116 over Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays. 8.5 is the total. Now, the Yankees were able to get the Gausman in New York. I'm going to think that they're going to be able to get to him a little bit today, too. Something about Gausman just isn't ringing right. Almost like Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs. So, Stroman, 1-1, 2.12 ERA. Gausman, 0-2, 11.57 ERA for him. Yankees are 12-6. Blue Jays 10-8. The slight favorite are the Yankees again. Vlad Guerrero, 209 is not good for him. In fact, let's look at all the Blue Jays batters. Although they get the win last night. Just, again, something about the Blue Jays is just a lackluster. Springer's hitting 221. Vlad is hitting 209. Bichette 219. I mean, that's your star power, and is literally not doing much at all. Justin Turner 360. Schneider, 212. Kiermaier, 143. Jansen, 0. He's the backup catcher. Clement, 289. Kiner Falefa, 260. Varsho, 196. So very silent have been the Toronto Bats. And for the Yankees, Volpe, 349. Soto, 324. They have their issues as well. Aaron Judge, just 182. Stanton, 250. Rizzo, 243. Gleyber Torres, 206. Verdugo, 242. Trevino, 207. And Cabrera, 294 is doing well. So you'd like to see Judge heated up. Rizzo be a little bit better for sure. And the Yankees can really get going if they get Torres, Judge, and Rizzo to really crank up their end of the deal on offense for them. But we'll lean Yankees here because they were able to get the Gossman last time out. We'll think that they'll be able to do that again today. So a slight lean with the Yankees on this one. Gossman's going to have to show it to me. He's a savvy old veteran, but maybe like a Kyle Hendricks, he's just having a rough go of it. 11.57 ERA for him, so he is getting bombed. 3:07 is the start time there in Toronto. 3:10 start time for the Nationals and the Dodgers. We have Irvin, the pitcher for the Nats. Jake Irvin, 0-1, 4.24 ERA. 17 innings pitched, just 13 hits, 14 Ks for him. Landon Knack will be your pitcher for the Dodgers. It looks like it's his major league debut. He's a right-hander out of Johnson City, Tennessee. 6'2", 220 pounds, 26 years of age. So we'll get his... no stats available. So this will be the major league debut for Landon Knack. Long line of good pitchers coming up through the Dodger farm system. So we'll see what Knack has today against the Nationals. Seeing that he's an unknown commodity, and it's just hard to back the Nationals, the pesky Nationals by nature. It's hard to back them. We'll throw this game aside and I'll take a look at it. Perhaps an over, but that is at 9.5. It's a lot of runs, and a lot like we mentioned with the Braves offense, just kind of something's missing. You feel like it's the same with the Dodgers here. I mean, let's take a look at their batting averages while we're at it, since we're doing the batting average game. Betts hitting 388, Ohtani 341, Freeman 288, so that's all good. Teoscar Hernandez 286, the other Hernandez 200, Max Muncy 258, Chris Taylor 029 for him, their local Virginia Beach product. Pages 250, Rojas 280, Barnes 308. So the Dodgers actually getting some good averages there. I mean, that looks decent overall. But timely hitting, is that what it is? I'd have to watch them a little bit more closely. Able to get 6 runs last night, just 4 runs the night before. But just not all the way there with their offense, it seems like. Maybe just bad situations, double plays. It has to be something anomalous. But interesting here. What are the Nats batting averages? Let's just see how pesky they are. Abrams 298, Winker 373, Lane Thomas 203, Gallo 140, Luis Garcia Jr. 292, Senzel 286, Rosario 122, Millis 167, Young 229. Definitely some holes there. They definitely have some guys doing well, but not consistent all the way through. 72 degrees and sunny in Los Angeles. But next major league debut, we'll just throw this game aside as well. Probably better spots on the board. 337 in Oakland. Cardinals win last night. They'll go again today, this afternoon. 53 degrees and cool. This has first inning result in a tie written all over it. Steven Matz 1-0, his 1.80 ERA for him. And Paul Blackburn is 1-0 with a 0 ERA. Blackburn has not given up a run in his 19.1 innings pitched. Just 11 hits, 11 strikeouts. So he's been fantastic. Paul Blackburn, early Cy Young candidate under the radar is Blackburn. 15, we'll have to get some Cy Young numbers. They don't have them on my primary book. I'll start searching for those today. But Blackburn may be an interesting one to take. I wonder what kind of odds you're getting on him. Just because he's on the A's. We know him as a good pitcher too, though. We'll have to play around with some of that. I'll do some research today. But a good pitcher matchup with Matz and Blackburn. No run first inning. So take the first inning result in a tie to give yourself a bailout. Nolan Gorman's hitting 203. You'd like to see that get better for him. But a lower scoring game, more likely, cooler day in Oakland. So we'll lean with the under overall in that one as well. Cubs and Diamondbacks, they'll play one more time. Wicks and Fat. Jordan Wicks against Brandon Fat. PFAADT is the spelling for Fat. Fat is 1-0, 6.48 ERA, 16.2 innings pitched, just 20 hits, 17 Ks. Wicks is 0-2, 5.68 ERA, 12.2 innings pitched for him, 16 hits, 19 Ks. For the lefty Wicks, they scored a ton of runs last night. I think we can probably get a ton of runs again today. 9.5 is the total. What did we have? 23 runs last night. They probably won't get to 23, but I could see this being an over game again. Arizona is the slight favorite. If I had to lean with a team here, I think I would lean with a slightly better offense with the Cubs. And are they slightly the better offense? Let's see. Let's take a look at the batting averages with these two. Nico Horner's at 264. Dansby Swanson, 222. Bellinger, just 182 for him. So he's struggling a bit. Morel, 227. Cooper is at 348. Bush, 304. Ian Happ, 261. Amaya, 281. Canario hitting 500 for Arizona. So halfway decent. Bellinger in the middle of the lineup, and Swanson need to get things up. Morel as well. For Arizona, Kettle Marte 301, Corbin Carroll 232, Gurriel 278, Walker 269, Peterson 323. Suarez 246, Alexander 300, McCarthy 278, Barnhart 181. So inconsistent there, but they aren't the worst from what we've seen this morning. We'll look for some runs today with the Diamondbacks and the Cubs. Two pitchers who are bound to get shelled here. 84 degrees in Arizona. They'll probably have the roof on for that. The Cubs, the slight favorite. All right, next game on the board. Doubleheader. First game at 2:10. Yes, with the Royals and the White Sox. Brady Singer and Cannon. Matchup that didn't happen yesterday. Again, we got to go with Brady Singer and the Royals here. 50 degrees. Cloudy, cool. So I think the Royals on any kind of alt line is fine. Again, look at the win margin. Instead of the -3.5, if you want them to win by 4 or more for the big payout, you'll get better juice. I think it was at +240 yesterday. Let's see what it is today. with Singer and Cannon. Line's not all the way up yet this morning for alt plays. Okay, so still a little early to get the full numbers. About -1.5 for the Royals is at -108. I think that's fair all day. If you want some sort of an even play. And then they'll play game 2. We have Michael Wacha against Eric Fetty. Fetty's been a little bit better than what we anticipated so far, right? He's 0-0, 4.30 ERA, not the worst. Wacha's 1-1, 4.00 ERA. 18 innings pitched for Wacha, just 15 hits, 17 strikeouts. The Mets were able to get the Wacha. That's why his ERA is a little inflated. Fetty, 14.2 innings pitched, 15 hits, 14 Ks for him. We will lean with the Royals to go ahead and sweep this doubleheader because the White Sox have only won 2 games all year. So 2 tough pitchers for them, and it could be a long, long day on the South side. If they take a couple more L's, they'll be 2-16 overall. So leaning with the doubleheader sweep, Royals over the White Sox. 4:10 Eastern Standard Time. We have the Reds and the Mariners. Abbott and Miller are your pitchers here. Bryce Miller and Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott, 2.60 ERA, 17.1 innings pitched. Bryce Miller's 1.96 ERA, 18.1 innings pitched for him. Both of these pitchers have given up significantly less hits than they have innings pitched, which has been good. Miller's a good strikeout pitcher. So decent pitching duel for sure. This has a no-run first inning result in a tie written all over it as well. Just 4 runs last night in the game after the Mariners bats were able to break out on Monday night. 58 degrees, sunny skies. Over-under is at 7.5. We'll just lean with another lower scoring game here. Let's take a look at the batting averages for these two since we're playing that game for the most part. With Cincinnati, India's hitting 169, Benson 228, and Encarnacion hitting 192, Steer hitting 317, Fraley 425, Ellie De La Cruz hitting 274. Bad base running mistake by De La Cruz last night, late in that game. And bad base running the home plate. De La Cruz got thrown out at third, and the runner going home slowed up before he hit home plate. So on the back end where De La Cruz got tagged out, the run did not cross the plate in time because they slowed up. So just bad base running by the Reds. Fairchild hitting 276. Espinal's hitting 148. Malley's hitting 130. For Seattle, there's some dismal ones. J.P. Crawford, 171. Rodriguez, 206. Polanco, 194. Haniger is hitting 300. That's good. Cal Riley, 196. Garver, 149. Luke Raley, 167. Class, 250. Rojas, 333. So struggling bats for the Mariners. We'll lean Reds here, but again, this looks like an under game again for sure. And no run first inning or first inning result in a tie would be the option there, I think. Next game on the board. Rockies and the Phillies. We have Feltner and Sanchez. Now, Feltner, the pitcher for the Rockies, Ryan Feltner, 1-1, 3.38 ERA, 16 innings pitched, just 15 hits, 18 strikeouts. So good start for him. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies, 3.52 ERA, 15.1 innings pitched, 15 hits, 15 Ks, 7 walks, no home runs allowed for him. So decent pitching matchup. When are the Phillies going to put up that big crooked number? We said yesterday, if you're taking Philly alternate run line overs or the simple over in the Phillies game, you're getting crushed at this point. I'm going to have to do some research on that today, but teams that are against the over-under in baseball, as we're starting to run late on the show, we're not going to get into that today. But the Phillies have been in that dead under team, at least from my perspective. I'll come up with the proof for that, and we'll talk about some more of that type of stuff here in the next day or two on the show. But 65 degrees and cloudy, over-under is at 7.5. I mean, at some point, these bats have to blow up for the Phillies, right? Give you a 9 or 10 spot. It hasn't happened yet. Next game, Angels and the Rays, a 6:50 start. Reed Detmers and Zach Littell. So good pitching matchup here. Detmers is 3-0, 1.04 ERA. Littell 1-0, 1.17 ERA for him. So chance for, again, for a no-run first inning or first inning result in a tie. The problem there is you have two prolific home run hitters, and Mike Trout you'd have to negotiate, and probably Isaac Paredes if they get to him in the cleanup spot. But Mike Trout can ruin your day on that bet. He's done that for me one time already this season. But two pitchers off to fantastic starts. So, again, you would kind of lean with an under here. It's only at 7.5. There's some lower scoring games here. Good pitching matchups. Tampa Bay the favorite at -130. Offensively, overall, though, we don't have much trust in either one of these two at this point of the season. Let's see here. Let's take a look at those averages real quick. Again, since we're playing that game, might as well do it for these two. All right, the Angels. Now, I say that, and they've got a combined 23 runs in the last two games. Rendon's hitting 242, Trout 284, Ward 292, Sano 270, Moniak 206, Ohapi 354, Rangifo 244, Adele 231, Neto 179. So not the worst for the Angels. The Rays, bats, slightly more issues, I would say. Yanni Diaz 197, Randy Arozarena 169, Palacios 270, Paredes 258, Ramirez 254, Rosario 315, Caballero 278, Jose Siri 220. The whole Wander Franco thing, I'm not sure the latest on his offseason issues, and we will never see him again. I'm thinking. But this team just hasn't been the same since the Wander Franco news last season. I will say this on that note, indictments have been filed in Arizona on the accuser of Trevor Bauer, criminal charges against her for basically trying to take his money and framing him or bribing him, etc., however you want to put it. She's looking for a big payday, making up stories. So I'm wondering if we'll see Trevor Bauer in a major league uniform actually sooner than later, now that all this has come out. It kind of gives him now he has a couple of people accusing him of things. But, he just federal indictments filed. That's pretty crazy with his accuser. So these athletes got to be careful what they're doing off the field. I mean, there are definitely some money grabbers out there, and maybe it has cost Bauer his career. Let's see here. Last game on the board, right? Guardians and the Red Sox. Guardians now 12-5. So their pitcher today will be Ben Lively against Tanner Houck. Houck has been good, 2.04 ERA for him, 2-1 overall, just 19 hits in 17.2 innings. Lively, if we look at his stats, this may be his. No, he has 45 career games played. He started 32, 4-7 overall, 5.38 ERA for him. He's pitched a total of 208 innings, 208.2 innings, 230 hits, 117 runs in those 208.2 innings, 38 home runs, which is a decent amount. 64 walks, 159 Ks. All right, so Ben Lively, the pitcher today for Cleveland. He is a former Red. Big righty, 6'4", right-hander, 32 years of age. He'll get the start in Boston. Can the Guardians get to Houck here? Can we get a higher scoring game again? 60 degrees is the first pitch temperature. Boston is a -140 favorite. So they are giving Houck a little bit of run here for being the better pitcher. Interesting game. The Guardians are just hot. They need a good performance from Lively, at least to get them to the bullpen. And they're live plus money dogs, I think. We'll look at these batting lineups as well real quick. Quan 372, Jimenez 303, Ramirez 247, Josh Naylor 328, Bo Naylor 186, Laureano 176, Brennan 222, Arias 313, Freeman 184. So feast or famine for the most part with Cleveland. Jaron Duran is at 293. Devers is at 205 for the Red Sox. Yoshida 215. Casas 258. Abreu 188. Valdez 152. Wong 355. Hamilton 222. Rafaela 164. So some struggling bats in the Red Sox lineup as well. Probably a no play at the end of the day with this one. All right, so the best plays in baseball for today. Let's see here. No runs or better way out with the first inning result in a tie. We will go take a shot with the Marlins and the Giants. We'll take a shot with the Rangers and the Tigers. We'll take a shot with the Cardinals and the Athletics, the Reds and the Mariners. I think game 2 of the Royals and the White Sox, the Fetty against the Waka matchup, is fair game with that. Angels and the Rays. Man, we can see some lower scoring games overall today. Bunch of 7.5s, bunch of 8s on the board, 8.5s. I even see a 7. So the totals are reflecting that thought. As far as straight plays, we'll lead with the Mets. Even though the Orioles don't have a pitcher, we'll look at their alternate run lines at least for them. We'll look at the Braves' alternate run lines. It sounds like a broken record, but they just fit the profile, and we want to somewhat stick to the profile that we're building. And these are the teams capable of scoring runs. So Orioles run lines, Braves run line, alternate overs. We'll take the Royals in the sweep, and we'll lean with the Mets as well. So those are your plays in baseball. We'll do the NHL real quick, and then we'll talk about the NBA. And it's all said and done. Penguins game does not matter at the Islanders tonight. Maple Leafs are at Tampa Bay. Doesn't matter. St. Louis is at Dallas. Doesn't matter. Let me clarify that with the Stars. I believe they're fine, right? The Stars are good to go. They're your 1 seed overall there, so it doesn't matter. Edmonton and Arizona. Let's see. Edmonton, can they jump up a little bit? I think they can still, right? They have 2 games left. Yeah, they can. So Edmonton can get better seeding for themselves still. So that matters a little bit. And then that's it. Just those 4 games on ice tonight. The Islanders and the Hurricanes. So no play overall. We're not going to take any plays in this NHL. We're done with the regular season. We'll look forward to the postseason. We do have a game 1 line with the Islanders and the Hurricanes out right now. The Hurricanes are minus 225 over under 5.5. All right, in the playoff series, here's what we have lined up right now. The Avalanche are minus 138 against Winnipeg. Winnipeg's the home team here to start the series. How about that? And the underdog at home. You can also, and we'll take a look at more of this, but you can also take alternate game lines for the, you can take Winnipeg minus 1.5. You can take Colorado minus 2.5 games, et cetera, et cetera. As all this went blank on our screen. So we'll, I guess, not look at that. All right. Let's get back to the NHL, guys. Come on. All right, give me at least the series lines. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. More NHL. Let me click back to that. Playoff series. Yeah. All right. So Winnipeg is a slight underdog, plus 115 in their series. Carolina's minus 350 to advance. The Islanders plus 275 to win that series. The Rangers are minus 375. The Capitals are plus 290. Capitals are going to be dangerous. I'll tell you that right now to win that series. Boston will host Toronto. How's that for a hard-hitting first round? Boston minus 120. The Maple Leafs even money in that series. And the Panthers and the Lightning, the Florida battle. Panthers minus 176. Tampa Bay is at plus 146. And again, you can bet. Yeah, so this must not be on the board yet. They have a series alternate handicap that I'm trying to click on, and it's taking me to no man's land. So that's the problem there. All right, so those are your series odds. We'll get better with that here in the next day or two once they clean up some of these alternate numbers. We'll start taking a look at some of those. As far as the NBA game goes tonight, 2 NBA games. Miami's just a proven commodity in these kind of games. Philadelphia's minus 5.5. Over under 208. Low over under here. Don't be shocked if this game goes under for sure. I mean, that's what these playoff type of games do. But Miami plus 184 on the money line. 76ers minus 220. It seems like a big number for the 76ers to lay in this circumstance against the proven commodity of the Heat. So we shall see. The trust the process game. This is the biggest game I've heard in the trust the process era from some loyal 76er fans. The Bulls minus 3 against the Hawks. Hawks plus 132 on the money line. I think the Hawks are live here. Slightly better offense. Playing halfway decent here down the stretch. It's not like the Bulls have been super bad. This game at 222, I would not be shocked if this gets over, to be honest. Talked about lower scoring play-in game, playoff games. I would maybe look at this game to go over and maybe even significantly. I mean, the Hawks can let you score, and they can score still in bunches themselves. They do have Trae Young back, so that helps that cause. But let's just look at an alternate total points here to see what we get to if we get to 230 total. If we get to 230, then we get plus 170. If we get to 235, plus 255. Yeah, you'd like to see that a little bit better. I feel like those numbers are a little compressed here. So we will lean with the Hawks against the Bulls in this one. And in the other game, we will take, I don't know how you don't grab the points on both of these teams, to be honest, with Philly and grab the points with Miami and with the Hawks. We had one championship soccer game yesterday in the English Championship, and it happened to be my Southampton team, who, when they were 16 points out of first place, went ahead and took a stab at him at 25-1. They have now narrowed the gap with 4 games left to play, and they have one extra game than most everyone above them. They have 3 teams above them still, Leeds, Leicester, and Ipswich. But Southampton now just trailing Ipswich, the league leaders by just 5 points overall. So a gap narrowed from 16 points all the way down to 5, with room to still jump everyone ahead of them. So if that happens in my futures, that would be phenomenal. We also have Champions League today, Man City, and in fact, let's get those lines up. And Arsenal, both of our other guys are in action. It's like backed out of the book, but we'll have to get right back in it, as we forget the old Champions League is now playing every week. Oh, come on, guys. Of course, they want me to re-log in everything. Of course. All right. For the Champions League today, Bayern Munich to advance over Arsenal is minus 122. Arsenal is at plus 100. Man City to advance is minus 355. Real Madrid plus 270. Now, that's just to advance. So that means extra time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The straight money line is, well, this book's having issues this morning. All right. But over 4.5 goals, I think, is a good play for Arsenal and Bayern. I think they can score goals. And yeah, I think you're getting over 3-1 for that. And then Man City is at minus 160 on the money line. I think you can get at least 2.5 goals at home for Man City, maybe even 4. As over 4.5 goals or even 5.5 might be good in that game as well. But I'm going to trust Man City, and I'll go with the over in the Arsenal and Bayern game. All right, so that will do it. Let's go ahead and get on out of here. I'm sick of looking at sports books who are having technical issues in the morning. We will queue up our house band, the Pie Tasters. We are just after 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you need to recatch any of this program, you can go to Deep End 757 Broadcasting on our YouTube. I promise it is pool season, people. So once these pools chill out, get a rainy day, we will have the relaunch of deependbroadcasting.com. All right, day baseball, some soccer, NBA play-ins. Good luck, everyone. Talk to you in the morning.